Hey guys, we're live. It's Monday, week 7 for some of us in the age of quarantine. This is our 22nd episode, so I hope you've been enjoying these. I have. I certainly have. I've gotten to talk to some really great, interesting people and brought a little joy to their lives, I hope, and to yours. But today we have a very special guest. We have with us Broadway, I don't know, I'm going to say icon, or at least she got to be in a show about an icon. But certainly, in my eyes at this point, she's the most iconic person I've met thus far during the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce to you Anika Larsen. Here she is.
Hello, it's Anika.
Whoa. Anika, you know what? Anika, thank you so much, Anika. And
no
so, what language does that derive from? Can I ask?
My father is Norwegian, and so in Norwegian they actually say it closer to the way you say it, which is they say Anika, has a beautiful, lovely lilt, but then in America that would be Anika, which is not quite so lovely. But I don't know why my mom chose to say Anika. She chose that pronunciation, but I like it. I prefer it. So. Although maybe I would prefer Anika or Anika if that's what I'd grown up with. But Anika's me. Eureka! That helps to remember.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect. So my name is Chris. In Norwegian, that's Kras. No, I don't know what it is, actually.
It's got a nicer lilt that way, right?
It does. Kras.
Yeah.
So tell me, Anika, where are you right now? Anika, gosh, I did it again. I'm going to do that 7 more times.
No, honestly, it's stuck in your head now, and it's never going to get better. So don't worry about it.
Anika.
Yes,
Eureka.
Perfect.
Eureka, Anika. So where are you located right now?
I am in the suburbs of New York City, right in the center of the hot zone of all of this coronavirus stuff. So we're, of course, being smart and staying home and trying to make the best of it. And one of the things I get to do is actually, I'm so glad it occurred to me to start doing these talks with people all over the world. So I get to actually reach out and we all get to feel like a community, like a greater national, or really across the world. I'm doing one in the Netherlands next week. So, but yeah, so that's why it's sort of wonderful for me to be able to reach out and connect with people as we're also hungry for connection in this time. And also as theater people are super hungry to be doing what we do. It's really hard to not have an audience, to not be able to perform. So my husband and I are even, because he's a trumpet player, he read about Italian musicians playing their trumpets or their instruments out their windows. And I think we've all seen footage at this point of people doing that or just singing out their windows. And he read that and he told me, and I said, well, we got to do it. We got to do that for our neighbors. And then we thought, wait, we have a porch. We could just go on our porch. It might be easier. So we've been doing porch concerts every 2 weeks for our neighbors. They all stay 10 feet away from each other out in the road. We're on a cul-de-sac, so it's easy. And we just do impromptu concerts for them.
That's awesome. So I myself, my wife and I, we walked about 5 blocks away last night, and there were 4 individual musicians, each on their porches, all doing a round, and it was so cool.
It's magical, right? Like these are awful times, and it's just, we're all gonna have to help each other bear the awfulness of it. But there's so much that's making me cry. There's so much beauty that's coming out of it, and so many people's best sides we're seeing. And yeah, you don't have to be professional to do it either. I saw on TV there was 2 little kids who played the cello. It was their one elderly neighbor was their audience, and they just went over and played the cello for her, and she loved it. So it's really anyone can be performing for anyone. It really is. It's so special for all of us to be able to connect through music, through the arts. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. I think there's almost a lot of people who were afraid to do it before now and are just coming out and just doing it.
Yeah, well, a little bit it's like, well, they're not paying anything, so I don't have to feel bad that I charge the money. And also it's like, what else does anybody have to do? Freddie and I, every time we finish our porch concerts, because the tech is spoiled, like we're playing backing tracks off YouTube, like it's not, and so then we're waiting, and then suddenly the commercial is blaring before the backing track starts, and it's all so not, because we're so used to working professionally, and like where there are multiple sound guys who are in charge of or the band. Like the music just starts when I want it to. I don't have to just segue straight out of my banter, and it's perfect. And so every time we're done, we're like, was that terrible? And they were like, yes, but it's more than they would have had. And it was free. So let's not be too hard on ourselves.
Yeah. It is. There's a certain amount of forgiveness that people are able to do right now for, especially me doing these things. I'm not always perfect, that's for sure. But let me ask you this. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, actually, I have two thoughts about that, which is one, that I sort of really love the imperfection of all these times, partly because there's such beauty in that. I think that sometimes the imperfect is actually what makes things beautiful. And then also it's like a lovely reminder of how much work goes into making really polished professional productions perfect. That there's a crew of 25 to 30 people backstage at a musical at any given time, helping to make it all seamless and perfect, and just how much we're so sort of like really we're going to all be so grateful when we get back to that and we get to experience that kind of stuff again. And then I can't remember the second part of my thought about that, but it's all good. It'll come back to me if it was critical. Yeah.
We're all
Yeah. Well, I often say we're professional actors, not because we're perfect, but because when we're imperfect, we handle it. And it's really true. There's no such thing as a perfect Broadway show. Everybody messes up all the time because we're human. Nobody gets fired because of it. Nobody gets scolded even or spoken to about it if it was an honest mistake, just because we know that that's humans. And then the trick of it is just figuring out how to, as best you can, stay in character and keep it moving, pretend it didn't happen. Most of the mistakes that happen in professional theater, audiences will never know because they're handled so well, or somebody else on stage catches you when you fall, literally or figuratively. So there's beauty in that too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So you've been doing this for a little while. I won't say how long. But
I'm 46. I hate it when people don't want to talk about how old they are. I'm 46 and I've been doing it for almost 25 years professionally. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm 50 and I've been doing it for 10 years.
Congrats.
But so at what point during your career do you think you got over that need to be perfect, I guess? I mean, you never really get over the want to be perfect, but like getting down on yourself because you're not perfect.
Yeah. That's an interesting question, because it's still in me. I am a perfectionist by nature. A friend of mine finally, at one point we were talking and she was like, right, because you need to get an A+ at life. And I was like, yes, that is me in a nutshell. That is Anika Larsen right there. My whole life, need to get an A+ out of it, whether it's theater, whether it's being a mother, and I fail every day. I get about a C+ at being a mom because kids are exasperating. And mine are 4 and 3. Anyone who's a parent out there will understand why mom is tired. But yes, so for me, I mean, I think it probably is different for everyone, but for me, as somebody who really does feel sort of like the compulsive need to be perfect, it still gets to me sometimes. And sometimes it's something I just sort of have to talk myself through and breathe through. It's like those expectations are unreasonable. I think the hurdle is less about the need to be perfect, and it's more about, ultimately at its root, it's fear. It's being able to sort of get over your own fear. Once you're able to be more fearless, you're able to give a better performance, a more perfect performance even. That fear really gets in the way of, like, anytime you're scared to look stupid, then you can't really fully extend, I like to think of it as, whether it's like as a dancer or emotionally. Like if you sort of a professional dance, let's see if I can fit it into the screen, but a professional dancer will go like, ah. And then somebody scared might just go, because they don't want everybody to look at them. And which is more compelling, right? And so if you're doing this sort of emotionally in your performance, then it's never going to be as compelling as somebody who's making the big bold choice or the or just fully committing to the feeling. And if you're scared to look stupid when you cry, then you're never going to be able to fully cry. If you're scared that you're just doing it wrong, you're never. That is a hurdle that's inside of you that you're never going to be sort of free enough to just be on stage. And I don't like watching people act. I like watching people be. And that's the difference. It's like the acting, you can watch people you can see them doing the work, you can see them performing for us. And I'd so much rather watch the people who I don't know where the actor ends and the character begins, because they're just being on stage. And that requires just a real certain level of fearlessness and ability to just go there. There's something we
Yeah.
say in the theater often, it's called, we say strong and wrong. And basically it's just make big, bold choices and fall flat on your face. Like actually try to fall on your face, like try to make the most terrible choice you possibly can. That's the quickest way to genius, really. I mean, you can tiptoe, baby step there. And by the time you get to this really exciting, big, bold choice, the show will have closed. Or you can just try anything in rehearsals, knowing it's a safe space. And I remember I did the musical All Shook Up on Broadway, and I was in the ensemble, and Chris Ashley was our director. And at one point I played this, like, there was a scene inside a shoe store, and I was the assistant to the woman who was the clerk. And the whole plot is like this sexy guy comes to town and makes everybody fall in love, and everybody falls in love with him, and he's just super sexy. And every time he sort of thrusts his hips, he's an Elvis Presley type. Basically All Shook Up is like 12th Night with Elvis music.
Yeah.
So he's sort of Elvis Presley type, and he thrust his hips in a direction, and the person in that direction would just freak out. And so there was a moment in the store where he did that to me, and I had to freak out. And so during previews, we were doing the show at night and then rehearsing during the day and making changes to the show and stuff. And at the beginning of every rehearsal, you start with just everybody sitting in the audience, and the director gives everybody just notes. And some of them are stuff that you're going to then have to work on in rehearsal. And some of it is just take this note and do it tonight in the show. And so he gave me the note. He said, just bigger. And I was like, oh, okay. So that night we went on stage, and he thrust his hip at me, and I was, and even bigger. And the next day he gave me the note of, Anika, you can go bigger. And you can't tell, of course you can't tell really we all have our instincts of what's going to play right. But also we were at the Palace Theater, which is 2,000 seats. It's so far away, farthest seat away. So you just don't know if what you're giving works or reads or is appropriate or whatever. So he said, just bigger, Anika. And I said, really? It feels really big. He said, Anika, you cannot go too big with this moment. And I said, oh, that sounds like a challenge. And he said, no, really. And I said, you mean I won't get in trouble? Like I can do anything I want tonight and I won't get in trouble? And he said, yeah. And I said, all right, great. And it's in front of everybody, like the whole cast and stage management stuff. So like challenge is on now. So I have to. So that night, he thrusts his hips at me, and I scream, fall back against the wall of the shoe store, slide down the wall of the shoe store, and land in a puddle at the bottom of the wall. Thinking for sure it was way too indulgent and big a moment. And the next day and he looks at me and he goes, Anika, perfect. And I was like,
good.
No. I was like, oh no, because the set, Rockwell, who did the sets, all of the sets were like made of things, like the saloon was like made of, like the walls were made of license plates, and the shoe store, the walls were made of shoe boxes, all at jagged edges. So you hit the wall and it's corners of shoe boxes in your back all the way down. And now I've committed to this choice 8 times a week for the run of the show. So my poor back was so bruised, but my pride, I couldn't not make the choice anymore. So I was eventually glad the last time I had to do that, throw myself against that jagged wall every night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Such a metaphor for life.
I guess that's not really ultimately the moral I wanted for the story.
No, I know.
Choice is painful, but keep doing it.
Yeah.
That's not really it. Usually the wall isn't jagged.
Yeah. So we do have a couple of people watching. I have Richard Lundeen, who is he's a theater instructor at Savannah Arts Academy. He says, fear is the biggest hurdle I see as an acting teacher at Savannah. So,
yeah. And what do you do about it? Like, you can't just say, okay, don't be afraid now. Like, how do you just do that? You can't really do that. I think time is our friend, getting older is our friend, and then also just experience and having the moments where you actually do look stupid and nobody cares, and realizing, oh, it doesn't matter if I fall on my face. It doesn't matter if I mess up my lines. None of this actually really matters that much. Right. I mean, often the person backstage at a Broadway show who's going, all right, everybody breathe. It's not that big a deal. This is not the Pentagon. Does not affect foreign policy. Stakes are not high. And I want to make sure I'm being clear that I'm not saying the arts don't matter, because of course the arts are critical, vital to a healthy society. But each individual show, each individual performance, each individual audition doesn't matter that much. There will always be another one. If you live and die with every audition, you're never going to last. You just don't have the constitution to live a life in the theater. You have to know. And that's something that took time for me to learn, which is just, yes, I'm so sad. I did not do as well in that audition as I wanted. I really wanted that part, but there's always another part to audition for. And when you're doing a long run of a show, the beauty, the forgiveness in, okay, I screwed it up tonight, but tomorrow I can do it better. And even if it's the closing night, there's another show where you're going to nail something, you're going to do it really well there. So yeah, so I think sort of the idea that like once you've had enough experience failing and succeeding, that you have the confidence to know, no, I can succeed at these things. So I don't need to be so scared of them. And then also, I've also experienced failure and know that it didn't break me, and nobody else remembers those moments but you.
Right. I think one of the things that I always say is audition, 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 and audition again.
Yep, I say that to every group I talk to. It's like a muscle, and if you flex it, it gets stronger, and if you don't, it atrophies. And everybody needs an incredibly strong auditioning muscle. You go to 10 auditions in a week, first of all, you're going to get much better at auditioning, and also how much can any one of these auditions matter if you've doing 10 in a week? If you do 2 in a month, each of them matter too much, and then how are you going to overcome your nerves? The only way you can overcome nerves, this is my theory, is preparation. It's the only thing you have control over, is how prepared you are. And the more prepared you are, the more you know it down, the more it's solid in your brain, the more like you're bulletproof to fear in an audition, the more like your body will just go on autopilot, even if you're really nervous.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to go back down memory lane with you for a little bit here.
Woohoo!
When I was 11 years old, this film came out, and I was so extraordinarily taken with the actress that was in it that
Wait, don't tell me. When you were 11, that means I was 7. I don't know. It was a musical? Was it Xanadu?
Yeah. Yes.
I win! What do I get?
You get to talk about Xanadu, because I'm really curious about this musical. Like, how did it convert to stage?
Sure. Well, here's the thing. Have you watched it since you were 11?
Yes, I have. Because it's like the cheesiest movie ever.
Awful. It's like, I don't want to speak ill, but like the book scenes I think they were all high when they were you don't watch the movie for the book scenes, but the musical numbers and the music in it is fantastic. And Olivia Newton-John is transcendent and gorgeous and everything. She came, of course, to opening night on Broadway, and I literally wept, because also Grease, so formative in my childhood was Grease. We watched over and over again. We owned the VHS tape and watched it over and over again and acted it out. And so to meet her was like, I didn't know what to do with myself. But yeah, so Douglas Carter Bean, who wrote the book, writes really funny, really sometimes campy stuff. And so the show was just always meant to be sort of very self-aware and self-mocking. And, like the idea that this muse would come down to earth to inspire this artist on Venice Beach. And that her disguise would be to wear roller skates and sport an Australian accent. It's like clearly self-aware about the movie, and not exactly how it went in the movie. But yeah, so there's whole plot lines in the book, in the movie, that weren't in the play. But also the play, I believe it was only one act. There was no intermission, so it was between 80 and 90 minutes. In fact, we were across the street from Les Mis, and we would be leaving to go home at night, and they would be having intermission across the street. Yeah. And I can tell you which show actors would rather be in, quite frankly. But yeah, no, it was so super duper fun. Another thing that was fun about, first of all, that we all had to learn to roller skate was terrifying and super fun. But the stage had like ramps on it and stuff. And we got to do skate call every night before the house opened. So the show was at 8, the house opened at 7:30. The crew had to make sure that they were done with everything they needed to check on stage by 7:15, so that we could all have 15 minutes just skate around and make sure we had our wheels under us. But I would lurk and wait at like 7, because often the crew was done early, and then I would get to get on there by myself and have the stage to myself for like 15 minutes. And after a while, people stopped doing skate call every night because they felt confident enough. But I loved it. And for a while, I was It was hot shit on wheels. Not going to lie to you. I hope it's okay to say it on your show. It's been a minute since, because there's no roller rinks left in the world. Like there's very, very few around. I've heard of one that's maybe 45 minutes from me, but my boys are still a little too young to be able to roller skate. But at some point, I'm going to take them. I still have my skates from the show. I'm going to take them and show them. I might have to go once by myself without them just to get it all back so that I can be truly impressive for them when I take my boys. But yeah, no, it was wonderful. It was silly and thrilling and delightful and yeah, super fun. I didn't know anything about it going into it. I still don't know who I replaced. Somebody dropped out at the last minute. So I auditioned like a week before rehearsal started and got it and showed up for the first day of rehearsal. And I looked around and I was like, okay, you're Tony Roberts, you're a lead. You're Carrie Butler, you're a lead. You're Cheyenne Jackson, you're a lead. You're Mary Testa, you're a lead. You're Jackie Hoffman, you're a lead. And then I was like, is there only 4 people in this ensemble? Because the problem with that is if there's dancing in the show, there's nowhere to hide in the back of a 4-person ensemble.
Oh, that's me too. I always hide in the back.
Yeah. So there were tears on that front too, of just, oh, the choreography and, oh, I can't keep up.
Yeah.
But I've seen bootlegs of it. There are bootlegs online and I'm holding my own. I'm a dancer who moves.
Nice.
That's what we call it, with no training. But yes, there was a lot of stress. But once we had that show up, it was really, really fun.
Yeah. I'm trying to get somebody to put it up here just because I'm just so
you absolutely should. The beauty of it is like there were 9 people on stage in the cast, but you can do it with so many more than that. So it's perfect for like schools or college or community theater, wherever you want to give more people parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there is the roller skating element that
right. Well,
you got to make sure that stage is smooth. Like you got to make sure all the boards line up flush on that stage.
Oh yeah. Well, we did Elf back in November, and there's an ice skating scene in that. So I know that at least 4 people know how to roller skate on that stage now. So.
Perfect. That's all you need. You just need a girl, Kira. Whoever plays Kira, she's got to be able to skate. She's on skates 80% of the time.
Yeah.
Everybody else is only in the finale, unless the director wants to make a different choice and just have everyone on skates whole show long, and that would be fun too. Set it in a roller rink. Find an abandoned roller rink in Georgia. Is there one down there?
Yeah. Well, actually, we have a thriving roller derby.
But isn't that like in a circle? That's different, isn't it?
It is. But I mean, I think they let people come out and roller skate like in between rounds.
Is it a flat? It's flat?
It is flat. Yeah.
On the side. Oh.
Yeah,
well,
it's a flat.
I think we've just figured this out. You're doing Xanadu there at some time. Well, once we're all allowed to gather again.
Mises, if you're listening, we're going to do Xanadu.
Woohoo!
So you were in Avenue Q from 2009 until...
I don't remember dates like that. Okay. But I did the tour for probably 2009 feels right. I did the tour for like 9 months, and then they asked me to be the part of the closing cast. It was an incredible honor. They sort of handpicked their closing cast, and I got to be in it. Yeah. So I did the last 3 months of Broadway, and then very dramatically on closing night, after the show had ended and bows was extended so that all the people on stage came out and bowed, and then group by group, all the people who'd ever been in Avenue Q who wanted to come back were all paraded out on stage and then filled up the whole set, all the brownstones across the street of the set. And then Kevin McCullum, the producer, said, we don't want this show to close. So it's not closing. We're moving the show off Broadway in a month, which never happened. I don't want to say it never has happened before, because probably somewhere it has in the history of theater, but it's just not done. Shows move from off Broadway to Broadway, not the other way around. So it was really quite ingenious. And the show then kept running for like 6 or 7 years there. So I went and I opened off Broadway and then left a few months later just because I wanted to have that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it just closed last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. So
not only have it has not just the sort of fun gimmick of the puppetry, which people think is, but also it's an incredibly well-written play. Like the dramatic structure is so sound. The dialogue is there's no fat to trim on it, like so spare. It's so funny. The music is so good. The lyrics are so ingenious. It's just an incredibly well-written play. So that's, I think, part of why it ran. so long.
So which of the characters had more of an expressive face? Was it Kate Monster or Anika?
Lucy? Oh, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing when you're learning how to do it is finding the balance, right, between the puppet, because the puppet is the character that is on the stage, and you are just sort of all dressed all in gray so as not to draw attention to yourself, but you are informing the character. Both you're puppeteering the face, but there is some allowance for, especially when people are far away, they're fusing together you and the emoting that you're doing, that they're sort of infusing onto the puppet that they don't even think about after a few minutes pass. But like, I'm trying to get my hand in here. So, but this can be happy. This can be surprised. This is like shocked or appalled or delighted. And all of that depends on, when you're just watching Sesame Street, it all depends on context, and a kid will understand what it is. But with us, because we had the, sort of the Julie Taymor, who directed and did the puppetry for The Lion King, she calls it the double event of watching both the human and the puppeteer at the same time, and the sort of ways that they inform and sort of the sum of them is greater than their parts, really, in a situation like this. But yeah, so absolutely, it was finding the balance of really, it being fully acting every moment, fully expressing and fully living the Kate Monster's experience, while at the same time not in any way detracting from her, not overshadowing her. They would sort of, the shorthand was don't do this, like make sure she's up front and
either at the same level or behind, or you're behind.
Yeah, and like literally keep yourselves, but also sort of figuratively, don't be trying to outshine your puppet.
Upstage your puppet, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really fun thing to tinker with, because I did do it, a long time. So 8 times a week to over maybe a year and a half. So yeah, no, it was extraordinary. I mean, I grew up obsessed with Sesame Street and the Muppets. So to think that one day I would get to do that professionally, and then it would be my job to get paid to learn that skill,
right,
and be taught by people from Sesame Street. The guy who taught me is Peter Linz. He puppeteered, he does Ernie now. So if you saw, Elmo had a play date, which is sort of a recent, it's basically Sesame Street's response to the pandemic. They did. And so if you see that, he's Ernie on that. But also the Muppet movie that was out a few years ago, starring Jason Segel from How I Met Your Mother.
I love that so much.
The main puppet, the little yellow guy named Walter, that's Peter Linz. He taught me how to do puppetry. How cool is that?
Yeah, I know. That's so amazing.
Oh, so cool. So cool.
I have 2 degrees. 2 degrees. I have you and then him now.
Oh, yeah. There you go. I thought you meant like school degrees. Like you're
No.
Yeah, no, like thrilling. Like it just, yeah, no, what a cool. I mean, the jobs where I get to learn stuff and get paid for it. Like I got to learn, I don't know if you know what capoeira is. It's a Brazilian martial art dance. Telling you, fall down that rabbit hole on YouTube and just, it's Capoeira. And it's gorgeous and like unbelievably.
It's like on your hands a lot with your legs out, right?
Yeah. I mean, yes, the base is always on your feet, but yes, they do flip and stuff. Like it's stunning. And the whole idea is like, you want to get to as close to hitting your partner, the person you're playing with. They don't call it fighting, you're playing with, without actually hitting them. Those are the moments that are like really, but they do like flip upside down and kick with their legs and stuff. And it's a dance that they do. And it's stunning. And it comes from way, way back hundreds of years ago in Brazil. That slaves would do it on plantations. And so I was in a play that was set on a plantation in the 1500s in Brazil. And my character didn't do it, but we all got to learn capoeira. Yeah. If we wanted to come in an hour early before rehearsal, we could take capoeira classes. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I can't actually, I'm no good at it, but like to have the experience. I also got to learn to sword fight for that. And, and then the roller skating for Xanadu. I mean, sometimes it's just really wonderful, the stuff you get to do.
Yeah, as an actor, you get to really branch out to all these different things, just depending on what your character needs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that where hand walking came from?
No, I can walk on my hands because I did gymnastics for 12 years when I was young. Although that's on my resume as special skills, and I should take it off because at 46 now, if I cry, I see stars. Like it's so.
Yeah, I saw roller skating and I saw hand walking, and those piqued my interest. So I was.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And I actually did both on Xanadu. There was, everybody needs to have two understudies on a Broadway stage because if it's long running, people go on vacation or people go to a wedding or people just get sick, and then just to have one more understudy in the building is not enough. So you have to have two understudies. But there's times where that gets a little bit tricky. Like Curtis Holbrook was in the ensemble of Xanadu, and he understudied Cheyenne Jackson's part, the lead. But when he went on for him, there was this part in our finale where he would step into the front of the stage and he could just get up on his, I don't even know how Curtis could do anything when it comes to dancing or physicality or anything. And he would just get up on his heels, on his wheels, and he would just spin for like as long as you wanted him to spin and then come right out of it. And so it was a feature, and it was lit, like the lights always, the lights are automated, and on a computer you just push the button. So like the lights were gonna come, and they needed a different feature for that moment when Curtis was on for the lead. So I was his understudy just for that. I would come down from where I was always usually dancing as my ensemble part, and I would kick up onto my hands and I would do a handstand pirouette in roller skates.
Oh, wow.
Which maybe is my proudest moment on stage ever. So certainly I can't do that anymore, but yeah. And I only ever had to go on and do it maybe 2 or 3 times. And I would say probably 2 of the 3 times I succeeded. And then one time I just kicked up and came right back down.
So there's no pirate copy of that laying around anymore.
No, but when we performed on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, they put that feature into the dance, like you sort of re-choreograph it for the street, and they put that moment in, and the people from the parade, they come and they watch your rehearsal so they can figure out where the camera angles in the shot should be. And so they had the camera come and shoot me while I was going to do it, and then I went to kick up, and the street outside on 34th Street is not flat like many roads. It's like curved and goes lower down to the gutters, and I was on an angle and I was like kicked right up, kicked right back down, and that's so if you watch that, you will see like my legs coming down. Like you don't understand why you're looking at somebody's legs coming down. It's not lovely. But that's on YouTube. You can see that fail.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check that out and just say, oh, that was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit about your past. Beautiful, I imagine, was essentially beautiful.
It was for a variety of reasons. I had sort of hit a low in my life and in my career right before I got that. I was sort of felt like on no front was I succeeding, sort of financially, career-wise. It felt like my career had stalled. I had just gone through a breakup, and I was 39, looking at 40, and I'd always wanted kids. I have 9 brothers and sisters. I've always babysat and nannied my whole life, and so it just sort of felt like none of this is going right. I have to quit the business because I have to figure out another plan. And then my agent called and said, you got beautiful. And so it turned my career around. It certainly helped me out financially. And then I guess I complained one too many times to my dresser about who, helps with quick changes backstage from the wardrobe department. I complained to her one too many times about the state of my love life. And one day during a quick change, she said, would you like to go on a blind date with a trumpet player named Freddie? And I said, I have never turned away opportunity. Sure, I will do that. And the day we recorded the beautiful cast album, I like to think there was a little extra excitement in my voice singing those songs. But I walked straight from the recording studio in Times Square over to B.B. King's on 42nd Street, which is now closed. It's a club. And I watched him play for an hour and a half. And I thought, he's really good at playing the trumpet. I sure hope we have something to talk about. And 6 months later, I was living in this house here in the suburbs, pregnant with our first baby. And so we call our boys our beautiful boys because they only exist because of Beautiful, the Carole King musical.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story. Wow.
Yeah.
So you were set to play Cameron's mom, Elaine, in Almost Famous.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing rehearsal right now?
No, you're not allowed to. Here, you're not allowed to.
Well, I don't mean not face to face, but any Zoom rehearsal or anything like that?
No, we wouldn't have been. Well, actually, no, that's not true. We would have been. We were supposed to be doing a workshop of it now. We did it in San Diego in the fall and got great reception. And we had before that done 3-4 other workshops of it. Takes a long time to make a musical. You've got to do all these sort of developmental workshops and readings along the way. Although this one has moved really fast. I think the average is like 7 years it takes to get a Broadway show to Broadway. So this one is moving fast. But yes, so we were going to be doing another workshop to sort of finesse things that they had figured out in the run in San Diego. And so that is not happening. Hopefully we'll get to do that in the summer. But the plan was always, well, they were hoping to try and get, when we were doing so well in San Diego in the fall, they were hoping to get a Broadway theater for the spring. And now everybody is deeply grateful that we're not one of the many shows that tried to open and then didn't, or opened and then immediately stopped. So the plan had, since that didn't happen, the plan has been to open in November. And that all depends on whether we're all allowed to, congregating in large groups is going to be the last thing that's allowed to be reopened, right? We'll all be able to go back to work before we're allowed to. So hopefully we'll still be able to do, at the end of July, start a workshop, because that's just us all going back to work in a rehearsal studio. And then we'll see if we can. I think the plan was to go into rehearsal for the thing in August. But it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. They've got all the pieces in place. They've got all the financing. They've got the whole team. They've got everything. So it's just a matter of when we can. But there's a song. The show is so much about community and isolation and finding your family or finding your tribe. There's a song in it that's literally called Everybody's Coming Together. And we're really going to want to hear that song.
Oh, yeah.
And we're really going to want to be feeling the feels that that this musical is about when we get to come back to that. Yeah, I can't wait. There's a song I sing in it, in Act 1, that I sing for my boys sometimes at bedtime as a lullaby. They've been for the past 2 weeks demanding it every night. And I've tried to steer them another way just because it's kind of long. And sometimes I'd just really much rather go with Ye Olde Twinkle Twinkle, something like Get In and Out, But they really insist on it. And so I've sort of embraced that. But last night I was singing to them and I had a really sort of overwhelming feeling of, oh, I really want to get back to doing that. I just really want to be able to sing that on a stage for people to hear it. It's such a beautiful song. The part is so great. I just can't wait till I can get back and we can all share experiences in a room together.
Yeah, that'll be nice. You say you sing that to your kids. It's never going to go away, by the way. They're going to want you to sing that forever. I sang
You think that particular song?
Yeah, I sang Rainbow Connection to my 18-year-old until he was probably 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So you'll be singing that a long time.
Yeah, perhaps. It's a beautiful song. Don't get me wrong. Wait till you guys hear it. It's called He Knows Too Little. And it's beautiful. But it's actually on, if you want to see it, it's on Stars in the House.
Okay.
Which I think how you heard about me was going on that and pitching. I did one of those early on, the first week they started doing that. So if you want to go online and see, and just YouTube Stars in the House, Anika Larsen, you can see. And Tom Kitt, who wrote the music for it, he comes on, he's a guest star, and he comes on and talks about the music. But it's the first time any of that music, if you weren't to go at the show, if you didn't see it at the Old Globe, nothing has been heard publicly from the show. They've been very tight-fisted with it, keeping it close and protecting it as a finalized thing. Tom let me sing it on there, so you can hear that song on there.
Yeah, I'll post a link in the discussion for this, so everybody can hear it. You were on there twice, right?
Well, we did a concert. Me and my husband did an actual. We were the guest stars for the night, a concert, and then a couple times we went back. I was their senior porch correspondent, and I would talk to them about and show clips about my porch concerts. And then I went back on and just pitched. I'm also now their senior education correspondent, and I went on there to pitch myself to do these talks for anybody who wanted. So I've been on a few times. There's actually some exciting news. I'll let you know about it. I don't think I can say. I think we have to put a press release out about it yet, but there's some more exciting news from that front. I'll just say.
Cool. Yeah. So from that front, we won't talk about that exciting news, but tell us a little bit about what you've been sharing with people about educating online.
Well, really, I mean, I don't profess to know a lot about it. I just know how hard it is. My husband is a musician, but he's also a music teacher. He's the band director at our local middle school, and it's wicked hard, as they say in Boston, where I'm from. It's a wicked hard to be a band director remotely. It's just, especially the kids, most of them don't have their instruments because school closed without any warning, and they haven't been allowed back in the building. So he's sort of scrambling to figure out what he can do with these kids so that he can give them a grade so that they can learn something this semester, because he was supposed to be just rehearsing them the songs that they would do in their concert. That's not going to happen. So so I figured, well, I was sort of despairing about like watching yet another nurse cry about how overstretched they are and how hard it is and how hard it is to watch their coworkers suffer. And I just thought, how can I go to nursing school in 3 days? Like, how I'm not helping enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm staying home. I'm being smart. I'm trying to flatten the curve. But what can I be doing from home? I don't sew. I can't make masks. What can I do? And then I thought, no, I shouldn't be trying to be a nurse. That's not what I am. We should all be doing what we do at these times. And what I do is theater. So what does that mean? So I know I've done talks with the kids before, not kids and adults, talkbacks after shows and stuff, but I've taught before. I've done master classes before. So I thought, yeah, that's what I can do is I can help supplement any drama teachers out there, or any teachers at all. They don't have to teach drama, but anybody out there who would like this for, I get a lot of requests from theater groups. Their students were going to do a play and they got 2 days away from doing it and it got shut down, and they're all super bummed about that. So, it's really just a way to try and support what other educators are doing online just by doing these talks. Are fairly, I mean, as a mom of a 4 and a 3-year-old, I don't have a lot of bandwidth for things, but doing something like this with you requires no prep from me. And I can just come on and I can share the wisdom that I've garnered over 25 years. And so I've been doing two a day for the past 3 weeks. And I printed out a map of the United States and started putting little red X's on them because it was fun to see like where I was. Like when I toured the country in Rent for almost a year and a half. And I had a map of the United States that I was tracking where we went. So it was similar to that. But yeah, it just feels like I'm just trying to do what I know how to do to help in this time. And I think sort of if all of us dedicate a little bit of time in our weeks to doing what we can right now, in the ways that we can, because some of us, it's all different, right? Then hopefully, like, there's so many holes in the dam, right? And we can just plug the holes. If all of us plug each individual hole that we can plug, then we'll have a stronger dam.
Wow.
I don't know if that was a good analogy.
No, it works. less of a sieve, more of a solid surface. I got it. Yeah. So do you mind if I share your information in this the same way that I got in touch?
You mean the Stars in the House email address?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
go ahead.
Cool. I'll go ahead and put that in here. I know that I've had a couple of people that are already there, like mentioning other educators and asking for information.
Let them know I am super booked. And then this other thing that I can't announce yet is starting soon for me. So balancing another project while I am doing this. So it's just I will get to people. I will get to you. I have a little bit of a waiting list, but I will get to you.
Yeah. And I think I contacted you probably a week and a half ago. So I'm so excited that you were able to come on and do this and have the people actually listen to your wisdom and your learning and everything that you've experienced. It's been amazing.
Thanks.
I would be reticent if I did not ask, because I usually ask, do you have anything you want to sing?
No.
And that's totally fine.
I didn't know we were going to do that. That's part of it.
It's okay. I pull it out of a hat and I just see if people are up for it, but it's okay.
No, I'm too much of a professional to do something unprepared. We talked about preparation before. It sounds quite as good on these forums, but if people want to hear me sing, look, there's a ton of stuff out there on YouTube and stuff, or you can listen to the cast albums of stuff I've been in, but you also can go check out that Stars in the House. I think it's nice. And you can hear my husband play the trumpet, and he's super good at playing the trumpet. But yes, no, sorry.
No, it's
For
okay.
a minute, I was like, did I say I would sing? No, I'm glad I didn't say I would sing, because I don't feel bad now.
Yeah. And I see people are commenting that they'll go check that out for sure.
Cool.
I'm terrible.
Anika.
I'm so terrible. Huh?
It's okay. Think like Anita, but with a K. Does that
Thank you.
help?
I have many
I have
Anita
1,000
friends,
ways
actually.
to get into this.
Anika, it has been
Hey,
just a joy sharing this time with you, and
thanks,
I
Chris.
wish you all the best in
Thank
your porch concerts, as well as your secret thing that's coming up, and Almost Famous. I know that we're really wanting to see that when it launches on Broadway in the
Yeah,
fall or whenever.
really good. My
Yeah.
part is, if you know the movie, it's about Cameron Crowe's real life. It's autobiographical, where Rolling Stone did not know he was 15 because had been writing for these underground like rock magazines for so long, and there wasn't the internet and stuff at the time. So they just called him up and they were like, "Would you like to go out on tour with the Allman Brothers and write a cover article for us?" And he said yes. It's not the Allman Brothers in the movie or the musical; it's a fake band, but so really the bulk of the show is about him going out on this tour, and then I play his mom, the Frances McDormand role, who is at home freaking out. So I get to. My part is so separate. It just sort of like travels alongside the other part, that I get to watch so much of the show, and it is so stunning. It is so exciting. It is so good. It's so beautiful. Cameron Crowe is such a good writer, and Tom Kitt is such a good writer, and they are such a good partnership. And our director, Jeremy Herron, he's this British guy, and everything he says sounds smarter and funnier because he's British, but he actually legitimately is super smart and funny. He's just brilliant at directing this thing. Just the whole, everybody involved is so, I just couldn't be more excited about it. I can't wait for it to be the thing that people come back to the theater to see.
Yes, we can't wait to come back to the theater. I can't wait to have people come see me in the theater at some point. I don't know when that'll be again.
I get it.
Hopefully soon. Thank you again, Anika, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. Thanks everybody for coming by and checking this out. I so appreciate it, and I so appreciate Anika for showing up and sharing her words with us. I'm not perfect either by any stretch of the imagination, but thanks again, guys, and come back tomorrow. We'll have something going on. I'm not really sure. It'll be a mystery.